Good evening, my friends. Happy Monday, Monday after Halloween. How's everybody doing? If you are brand new here and wondering who the guy in the Hawaiian shirt is, my name is Chris, better known as Chris Cooking Nashville here on YouTube. And I've lost about 130 pounds using low carb, keto, carnivore, these kinds of things. Now I'm a recipe creator and a full-time YouTuber talking about the things that work for me, trying to figure out how I can help other people do the same. I'm also neurodivergent and keep my brain regulated, completely unmedicated because of my diet and the animal fat and the things that are so good for my brain and a few supplements that I use to just help regulate everything. And I just love to share everything that I'm doing with all of you. So if you are here, make sure that you are ready to like and subscribe and share. If you have not done so already, please do so. Would very much appreciate that. We are talking about sugar and the sugar reset process that happens after Halloween for many of you. So we're going to take a look at it and we're going to see what you guys think about all of this. Let's see who's in the chat here. Say hello to a few people. I'm playing around with this little chat up here on the screen for you guys so you can kind of keep up with what's going on in the chat as well. Let's see. There's our brother Dennis. Dennis Harrison over in the eastern part of Tennessee says hello from Newport. Hey, brother Dennis, how are you? There's our neighbor, Richard Williams. Good evening, neighbors from Copper Hill, Tennessee. Dustin from Keto Simple is here. Good evening from Indianapolis. Good to see you, buddy. We were talking in the chat at Dr. Barry's live stream just before this. So, good to see you, my friend. He says, waiting for this to start while making some burger patties. Man, that is a good thing to be doing. I could go for a burger patty right now, although I've already had dinner, but you know, burger patties just always sound good no matter what. Mavis is here looking to reset my mindset. I fell away big time. Well, Mavis, you're not alone. I think a lot of people did, and that's why I'm doing this. And we're going to talk exactly about that, how to reset the mindset. And I have some tips for you guys. Stick around. I've got some tips on if you're trying to get back off of that sugar wagon that maybe you kind of jumped in the middle of over Halloween. If you did that, how do we get out of that? How do we get away from it? And what can we do to get our brain and our body transitioned back the other way as quickly and easily as possible? So I've got some tips for you. So Crow is here. Wow, the sun sets fast these days. It sure does. Days are getting shorter each day, it seems. Time change is messing with me today too, guys. I'm a little tired, so y'all hang with me. Ann D is here. Hey, howdy, hey. How are the earliest bandmates and friends doing today? It's good to see you, Ann. Ann is one of our band members. My live, my private community is in the description of this live stream called The Band. Would love for you guys to join. We do a lot of great stuff over there. Ann is over there. Dennis is over there. Dustin Keto Simple, he's in there. We got a whole bunch of great people over there. So come on over and say hello. And would love for you to join. And Crow says resetting is the new norm. And actually, I think that kind of is the case. Because before, we would go on a sugar binge and then we would just keep sugar binging all the way through. But now that we know better, we're not always going to be perfect. But if we fall off and we don't do something right and we go on a sugar binge, it's about coming back. It's about resetting because that is our new norm. So hopefully we get to a point where we don't ever fall off like that. But, you know, we're humans. That happens sometimes. So I love it. Lisa Ortega is here. Hi, Lisa. Says, yay, alive I can catch with Chris. Well, Lisa, you are in luck because I think for the foreseeable future, guys, we are going to be doing Monday motivation live streams in the evenings. The light is so short right now. And I need to take pictures and that kind of stuff for the cookbook during the day when I have natural light. I just can't get it nearly as good after the sun goes down. So I'm using all day trying to catch up with recipes and this other kind of thing. And honestly, there's a lot of people that can't show up on Monday mornings, but they can on Monday nights. So I think we're going to start doing, at least for now, Monday motivation in the evenings. So please share it with all your friends and let them know. And it looks like we got about 40 people or so watching. Make sure you've hit that thumbs up while you're here and share it with a friend. Let them know that we're going to be talking about how to reset from the sugar tonight. There's Sean Bradley. Hey, Sean, good evening, all. Holly Springer is here. Hi, Holly. She says, evening, friends. And Sherry Nevada Pup is here. Good evening, CCN fam. No sugar crash here. I was very disciplined and only ate one piece. Good for you, Sherry. Proud of you for just doing that one piece and nothing more. Let's see. I want to make sure I'm not missing anybody here. Mags is here. I was good this Halloween, but my daughter wasn't, so I'm interested in the reset. Absolutely. We're going to talk about it here in just a minute. Oh, look at this. A $20 super chat from Brother Jeff, one of our band members, just an awesome band member. Also a really big proponent for the proper human diet out there, changing lives like a rock star band member would. Jeff says, good evening, PhD peeps. Feeling super blessed for a bunch of reasons. Keep it rolling, brother. Jeff, we are super blessed because of you, my friend, and all of the people who know you are super blessed because of you. Thank you so much. That is so kind, and it helps keep the lights on, and we sure appreciate that. Terry from My Terrific Life is here. Hi, Terry. Says, hey, Chris and everyone. It's good to see you. And there's Dawn and David. It's a Kid's World. Hey, Chris, everyone. It's Dawn and David from It's a Kid's World. It's good to see you, my friends. Some of the newest members of the band right there. So glad to have them in there. Mama and Papa Nashville are in the house. Mom and Dad are here. And Sherry says, watching on my big screen and chatting on my phone. I feel like Chris is in my living room. Well, hopefully that's not an unwelcome feeling, Sherry. Thank you for having me in your living room on your TV. D4424 is here. Good evening and joining from Indiana. Sardines and bacon for dinner. Oh, there you go. That sounds good to me. Let's see. Yes, David and Dawn are saying we're band members too. Awesome community, much recommended. Thank you guys so much. So glad you're in there. And I've been a little light on my posting lately in the band just because I'm finishing up the photos for this cookbook, guys. I am about 82 recipes deep into a 130 recipe cookbook, and I am cooking and photographing all of these recipes that are going into this book. And we're a little over 2 weeks into doing this, and I'm 82 recipes down. So it tells you how much cooking and photographing I've been doing. I've taken, I think, somewhere around 10,000 pictures at this point, and I'm about 2/3 of the way done. So with the recipes, there's other stuff that I have to finish up, but it's going to be something unlike anything you guys have ever seen, I really hope. So Sherry Gray is here, says, no trick-or-treaters, just a full bowl of candy again. Shouldn't have even bought it. I will definitely be trying to reset myself again. That's okay, Sherry. We're going to work on it. We're going to be here together. We're going to do it together. And I was saying I haven't posted much in the band lately because I've been so focused on this cookbook, but I will be back to doing that. This is exactly what the band is for. We go in there, we support each other, we help each other out, and we share tips and tricks, and I do behind-the-scenes stuff. We do extra recipes and live streams and all kinds of stuff, and there's a great community in there that if you just need to go, hey guys, I'm struggling, I need some support. That's what they're there for, and we don't judge. We are not here to beat people up for not doing it right. We are here to help. So go to that link in the description box if you guys would like to join us over there. Excuse me. Jeff says, nice, down for an actual live. Yes, Jeff. Jeff is a hard-working man and can't usually join us live, but here he is, so we're really glad to have him here. Terry Cargo is here. I was at our church festival. It's good to see you, Terry. And Brian is here. Hello, Chris and everyone. Good to see you, Brian. Sherry is here. I've got to get back on track now. All right, Sherry. Well, I've got tips coming for you here in just a second. Hang tight. And John Wise is here. Hi, Chris Cook in Nashville. I missed the Monday morning motivation. Yeah, me too, brother. But, you know, I think these evenings just kind of seem to work a little bit better, at least for right now. So we'll see what goes on. Dawn and David, no sugar crashes here. No sugar here. That's good. Good for you guys. Sherry says, I was a little discombobulated with the live being in the evening, but I can get used to it. We're all here for whatever's best for Chris and Asheville. I appreciate that, Sherry. It's, you know, it's just schedules are wild right now. They really are. Peggy is here. Good evening. Had trouble opening this event tonight. Too tired. Not adjusted to the time change. I feel you, Peggy. Right there with you. David and Dawn. Chris is in our living room every day. Well, you guys are very kind. Andy, cookbook. I'm excited. I am too. Mag says, I can't wait for your cookbook. Yeah, I'm excited about that. David and Dawn are anticipating it too. And Terry says, you did it all well, the cooking and the recipes. Well, thank you, Terry. Terry and Dennis came to the house and I cooked a big session and I took photos of all of the different recipes, and she and Dennis got to help us eat all of the recipes I cooked that day. So she's had some of the stuff that's out of the cookbook already. She's seen some previews, so Dennis as well. And Sean is here. Hair is fabulous. Well, hey, thank you kindly. I appreciate that. Guys, let's talk about this post-Halloween reset. I think this is a more common thing than a lot of people would like to admit sometimes. And, you know, and that's okay. I mean, it's not good for us. We don't want to keep doing it and just, you know, make excuses to just do it all we want. But there are reasons behind all of this. And I want to talk with you about why this may happen and what we can do about it. Because that's, you know, I think one of the hard things with this kind of stuff is we get so weighed down by guilt and by being focused on what went wrong that no one ever takes the time to teach us what we should do to make things right. And that's what we're going to talk about. So, post-Halloween reset. Okay, what does sugar do to your hunger hormones and your brain? Let's talk about that first so you understand why it's doing to you what it's doing. And then we'll talk about what we can do to combat this. Okay, so first of all, there is a really important thing here you need to understand. This is not weak willpower. If you ate some sugar and now you are struggling to stop eating the sugar, it is not because you're weak. This is biology. But you can override that biology. Now, it's a good lesson of why we shouldn't eat the sugar when we're in the mood of, I'm not craving it, because it's a slippery slope. But if you do, it's okay, no judgment. We're not here to beat people up. We're here to help each other. If you do, it is not weakness in you that you are then continuing to crave it. It is biology. But knowing how this works means we can figure out how to fix it, and that's the key. So first of all, what happens when we eat sugar? There's this cascade effect. Okay, so you eat sugar, you eat the candy at Halloween, you eat cookies, the desserts, the muffins, the cupcakes, the whatever, okay? You get a glucose spike, all right? We all know this. You eat sugar, you get a glucose spike. Well, what happens then is you get an insulin surge, because especially if you're eating a proper human diet and you're not eating a bunch of sugar every day, you're getting a serious spike in your glucose, then a serious spike in your insulin, and then you crash because your insulin sucks all of that sugar back out and it brings your blood sugar way down. It's what it's supposed to do. But after the candy and all this kind of stuff, when the blood sugar rises, the insulin pushes it down fast. You get this reactive dip, and it feels like this shaky hunger and irritability and all of these things. You guys know what I'm talking about. This is the sugar crash, right? This has happened to me. I can't tell you how many times in my life, okay? But what does this do in your brain? So the hunger hormone is called ghrelin, okay? G-H-R-E-L-I-N, ghrelin. Ghrelin goes up when this happens. You get this rise in your hunger hormones, and your leptin goes down. Leptin, L-E-P-T-I-N, leptin signals satiety. So that is the you're full, stop eating hormone, right? And it's blunted when your insulin is high and you're inflamed. So your hunger hormone goes up, and then your satiety hormone that should tell you you're full gets blunted. So everything goes out of whack, and you're hungry in your brain when you're really not, because you're craving sugar and you're crashing and all of these things, and you're irritable, which makes you even more likely to crave things because there's the psychology side, the psychological effect, all of this. So you end up in this dopamine loop, okay? Sugar hits the brain's reward system, and we've talked about dopamine extensively here in these Monday motivations, right? Not Monday morning, although they were, but now they're not. we have talked extensively about dopamine. So sugar hits the brain's reward system, just like drugs, like cocaine, okay? You get a quick dopamine bump, which makes you feel happy and it makes you feel good and all of this. And then you get this learned desire to repeat it because dopamine is a thing that you keep chasing, you keep seeking. You learn to seek it because it makes you feel good temporarily. It's a loop. It's not a moral failure, it's a loop. And this is why this is so important. It is not weakness, it's biology. It's not a moral failure, it's a loop that you are stuck in that we have to get out. The last layer that gets added on to that then is cortisol and sleep issues. Because if you have poor sleep the night after a binge, well, this raises your cortisol. Ask me about cortisol and sleep issues. I have sleep apnea and I have neurodivergent brain and I'm dopamine seeking and my cortisol is easily out of control if I'm not regulated. Believe me, I get this deeper than most people probably. So the bad sleep after the night of binging, and this happens to me, I never sleep well after I eat carbs. Poor sleep turns into your cortisol going up. And then the cortisol raises along with the ghrelin, the hunger hormone, the next day, which turns into more cravings. And so it just kickstarts this whole loop. And this is why people tell me, like, I just can't figure out how to quit. I just can't get out of it. I just can't stop. This is the drug addiction side of this. And this is the loop that they're going through. This is the loop you're going through if you're struggling with this right now. So sugar is designing cravings, right, in your brain. That's what it does. But protein can break those cravings, and that's what we're going to talk about. If you feel hungrier after eating candy, that's not failure. That's a textbook physiology response. That's what your body is made to do. Okay? We just have to figure out how to break that loop and get out of it, and the protein is going to be a big help for that. So, just real quickly to review. You have an insulin spike, which turns into you have a glucose spike, which turns into a huge spike of insulin. Then you have a crash. Then your ghrelin goes up, which is your hunger hormone, and your leptin gets blunted, which is your satiety hormone. So you're hungrier than your body actually is, and you're craving all the wrong stuff. Your cravings go through the roof. You are seeking dopamine. You're raising your cortisol along with your ghrelin. You're not sleeping properly. It gives you all these reasons you want more carbs, and you just start right back at the beginning of that cycle trying to satisfy those cravings, and it just continues the cycle and restarts it over. And each time it just gets deeper and deeper because it's a learned dopamine-seeking behavior. So what I want you guys to do, put crash in the comments if you have recognized this 60 to 90 minutes after eating sweets, after eating junk, after eating carbs. If you get the crash, put crash in the comments if you have experienced this 60 to 90 minutes after eating carbs, the crash. I every day of my life that I ate carbs, that's exactly what it was. I'm also curious, what's your innocent sugar source that triggers this for you? Like, do you grab a granola bar? Do you grab a healthy cereal? Do you use some sweetened coffee creamer? Do you have candy at Halloween? Do you have cupcakes? What is the thing, the innocent sugar source that you end up falling into that does this to you? I would love to see what you guys have to say, and maybe you can support each other. So, the question becomes, how do we stop the cravings? If we're in that cycle, if we're not in that cycle, great. It's best not to go into that cycle. But what if you're in the cycle? How do you stop it? This is not about willpower, okay? You can try to self-discipline yourself out of everything in the world, and you can ask all of the people in the world that have failed at everything that they've tried how well it works, okay? This is not about willpower. The right macro choices can help switch off cravings chemically, and that's the key. How do we get into this and learn to use different macros accordingly to help turn off those cravings? When I say macros, I'm talking macronutrients. I'm not talking about counting your calories and all of that. I'm not talking tracking macros. I'm just talking about using macros. There is a little bit of rough tracking here, but it's not really about counting so much as it is understanding the macronutrients, which are fat, protein, carbohydrate. We're avoiding carbohydrates, so fat and protein are the ones we're using, and we're going to figure out how do we use them to chemically turn off these cravings. Now, none of this is medical advice. I am not a doctor. Even if I was, I would not be your doctor. I am not giving you medical advice. If you want to do any of this, I recommend you consult your physician before you do anything. There's the legal stuff I need to tell you. But this is what I do, and this is how I have done this in the past. And I didn't even know it's what I was doing until I've done a lot more research. But looking back, this is the thing that I stumbled into that has always worked for me. So what essentially would go on is when I was first getting into keto and carnivore and these things, I would eat things I wasn't supposed to. And sometimes I wouldn't even eat it. I would just be craving it because it was the beginning. And I would eat beef patties and eggs until I just could not move. I would just stuff myself full, and it would fix that problem, and those cravings would go away. And within a couple of days, I had it under control. Now, I couldn't tell why, but now, years later, I'm much smarter, much more researched. I know why. So here's the mechanisms. Protein triggers CCK, GLP-1, don't everybody freak out, I'm not talking about the ones you inject, I'm talking about the natural GLP-1 in your body, and PYY. Basically, these are the hormones that are active in your brain that are saying the "we're full" signal should happen, okay? So protein triggers the hormones that stop you from eating. The fat that you then eat slows the gastric emptying, which gives you steady energy and fewer dips in your energy. And then salt, because we know how important electrolytes are. Salt, and Dr. Berry's always talking about salt your meat until it tastes good. Salt corrects the sodium loss after the carbohydrate binge. The fatigue and the snackiness that we experience when we've had binges, that often is a result of low sodium. It's not the only reason, but it is a major reason. A lot of times when we get that snacky feeling, it's because we need more sodium. So protein triggers the satiation hormones, fat slows the emptying and gives us steady energy and fewer dips, which also gives us satiation, and then salt helps us get rid of the snackiness. So here are the target macros that I would say is just kind of a general rule, a place to shoot for a reset meal, right? So you're in the midst of struggling with sugar cravings and this whole snacky thing. What do? Okay, I'm going to give you some targets, some basic ideas here that work for me, have worked for me in the past. Didn't even know it's what I was doing, but based on research, this is what I was doing without realizing it, and this is what I'm going to throw out to you as an idea. Protein first. 40 to 60 grams of protein in that meal. Now, that's a lot of protein. 40 to 60 grams in that meal. The fat is there to comfort the brain, okay? So roughly 20 to 40 grams with carnivore foods. Don't chase the fat if you're already full. So if you've eaten your protein, you've had some fat, and you're full and you're good, don't keep pumping butter trying to force yourself to hit a fat macro. You don't need to do that. But roughly 20 to 40 grams of fat is kind of what we're shooting for. More importantly, hit that protein macro. Carbs need to be 0 or close to 0, and you need to not use any sweeteners. Even the keto artificial ones, don't touch them, don't play with them, don't screw around with that. Just leave it alone, okay? Nothing sweet tasting in your mouth. You're trying to get out of that loop. Don't play with it, even if it's not a sugar, or even if it's like, oh, but it doesn't raise my blood glucose. I get it. Just don't even put the sweet taste in your mouth. It's just easier to change this habit without the sweet taste in your mouth. So protein, 40 to 60 grams. Fat, just for comfort, roughly 20 to 40 grams with the carnivore foods, but don't chase the fat if you're already full. And the carbs, 0 or as close to 0 as possible, and no sweet tastes, okay? So I'm going to give you guys just some plug and play meal template ideas here. Beef and eggs. Does that sound familiar since I just told you about the beef patties and eggs I used to eat? Beef and eggs. About 8 ounces of an 80-20 beef patty, okay? That's 46 grams of protein. And then 2 to 3 eggs is another 12 to 18 grams of protein. that's going to put you in that 40 to 60 range immediately. So 8 ounces of 80/20 beef and 2 to 3 eggs. Salt it generously. Make it taste good. Cook your eggs in butter, right? That you'll get yourself to where you need to be. So that's one option. The next one, a steak. Just a steak, right? A 10, 12 ounce sirloin or ribeye, if you prefer the fattier cut. That's 55 to 60 grams of protein. And then, especially if you're doing the sirloin, you probably want to put some butter on top of that. If you're doing the ribeye, you don't necessarily need a lot of extra butter, but you can add it if you want for the fat. Make sure you get plenty of salt, okay? Chicken thighs. 10 to 12 ounces of chicken thighs. It's about 55 grams of protein. And you want the skin on because there's fat in the skin. Okay, bake those chicken thighs, roast them, whatever. You can take that skin and lay it down in a hot skillet with beef tallow and make it crispy and brown after you've like roasted the chicken thigh. That's cool. Plenty of salt on those as well. Eat lots of chicken thigh. It's fatty chicken, good stuff, okay? And then a quick skillet sort of a thing, right? Do like 10 ounces of that 80/20 ground beef in a skillet, just broken up, cooked, browned, and if you can tolerate it, maybe a couple of ounces of cheese, and of course, salt. Okay, so there's just some very quick, like plug and play things. They're going to get you that 40 to 60 grams of protein. Your fat's probably going to come in around 20 to 40. You can, bump it higher or lower depending on how you're hungry, what you want, but roughly it's going to be there where you need it. And there's like no carbs in any of those things. And they're all very easy to make. So there's your plug and play. Make that meal. That is your break the cycle meal. So if you're like, yeah, but what about the flavors? Because it's not just that stuff, it's the flavors I want and all of these other kinds of things. Okay, here's some flavor tricks for you guys that you can use that don't cause any issues with your cravings. These are things I use fairly regularly, actually, when I want some more flavor. Acid. A splash of vinegar or lemon can actually blunt appetite spikes. Now, you don't have to just take a shot of vinegar. You can take some vinegar and you can put a little bit of vinegar over like fatty meat and you get that little bit of tanginess. That's actually really nice. You can do lemon juice on your steak. Do like butter, like my beurre monte, and put a little lemon in there. These are the kinds of things that's like you can use flavors like this to help blunt your appetite. But the acid that has little to no carbohydrate content is the kind of flavor we want to go for. So vinegars, 0 carbs. Lemon juice, trace carbs in the amount you'd be using it, not enough to really make a difference for most people. Also bitter. So black coffee along with your protein, not as breakfast. Don't have coffee for breakfast. Bitter black coffee with your protein can help some people help blunt their appetite. So if you're one of those people that is like, hey, I'm going to have a little bit of, just black coffee, this bitter flavor along with my stuff, great. You can actually use coffee as a rub on steak. Put some salt on it and put a little bit of, like, instant coffee is really cool. Or you can even take ground coffee beans and grind them like really, really fine and put a little sprinkle over your steak. You can do a coffee rub on your steak. It's really good. That might help you. So here's what I want you guys to think about. If you eat and you are still hunting in your pantry 30 minutes or so after the meal, you probably underate protein or you undersalted your food and you're chasing that snacky feeling because your salt issue is still out of whack. So hit those protein goals and put plenty of salt on it so 30 minutes afterwards you're not looking in the pantry. And if you are, you probably need more protein and some more salt. So I'm curious, what's your one meal reset that you guys are going to do? Like if you're struggling with this, what is your one meal reset? Those things that I just talked about, maybe you have your own idea, drop it in the chat. What is your one meal reset? Maybe you have an idea I haven't thought of, so drop it in there. If you're going to do like a one meal reset, what are you going to do? One of the ones I suggested, something of your own, let us know. Okay, so that's our one meal, but it's like, okay, Chris, but what about going forward? Okay, so this is a 24-hour bounce back plan, okay? Starts with that one meal. but then we need to figure out how to continue it. Now, we're not going to over-engineer a week of all of the things we're going to do right. Okay? Don't complicate this. We're going to dominate one day, because that's going to help us break that loop and get the confidence back that we do not have to be stuck in this cycle. Don't think about the week. Think about a day. One day we're going to dominate, okay? So in the morning, hopefully you guys are all doing this. And if you're not, you'll definitely hear me talking about this as I get ready to talk about my shred protocol in more detail. The cookbook has made that hard, but it's coming, I promise. So the first thing I do every single morning is I hydrate. I have electrolytes. I do like little bottles of water, so they're about 16 ounces, but anywhere from 16 to 24 ounces of water. You can do a half to 1 teaspoon of salt in that. That's 1 to 2,000 milligrams of sodium. That helps you get a little bit more of your hydration going on. If I were you, I would go get salty from Keto Chow. That's my favorite electrolyte, and pump a salty packet into your water, shake it up, and drink it. I do that every single morning. I also put methylene blue in mine. That really helps my neurodivergent brain. I put a little bit of creatine in there, and I take TMG and methylfolate. That's what I'm doing supplement-wise, and I'll tell you more about my shred protocol in those videos. But the very first thing I do when I go downstairs after getting out of bed is I hydrate with a bottle of that water. And I mean, here's the deal. I can drink water faster than anybody I know. I just chug the whole thing. So I shake it up, I chug it, I hydrate, I'm good, and then I start worrying about making my coffee. Your first meal on this reset day, this 24-hour timeline. So the morning, the first thing we do is we hydrate, get the electrolytes in. The next thing is your first meal. The first meal is whenever hunger hits. It is not, I have to have breakfast. Letting yourself kind of naturally fast a little bit because you're not hungry, that's going to allow your body to burn through the extra glucose quicker. So if you're not hungry, if you're hungry, eat. If you're not hungry, don't force yourself to eat because it's a certain time. Your first meal, whenever your hunger hits, use the 40 to 60 gram protein template that I gave you. Salt it generously, no sweeteners, no keto treats, none of the junk, none of the excuses of that stuff. One clean meal, one clean signal to the brain, protein and fat, at least 40 to 60 grams of protein, and at least 20 to 40 grams of fat if you can get that in. Lots of salt to signal your brain that loop is done. Okay? Chemically, it just signals that it's over. Midday, try to get some movement, 10 to a 20-minute walk or some light weightlifting, okay? The goal here is it's glucose disposal. It's not being a hero and doing, a Thor level workout. Glucose disposal. You need to get your muscles moving so that it depletes the glucose stores from eating all of the sugar, all of the junk. Because when that's sitting in there and you're inflamed and you're still dealing with that in your body can't recover and you still get stuck in this loop. So some simple movement to get the glucose to leave, okay? To get rid of the last of that. In the afternoon, if you have a snack urge, try not to snack, but if you have a snack urge, salt and water first, then and only then, 1 to 2 hard-boiled eggs. Okay, very simple. Don't complicate it. If you don't like eggs, have leftover burger patty, something like that, right? Do not, though, graze on sweet stuff. Don't let yourself have carbs. Definitely don't go back into the whole keto treat thing and try to ride the fence on that. This is not the time to ride the fence. This is when we need to break the cycle. We need to break the loop, and we have to stop those cravings, right? So we don't want to taste anything sweet. So 1 to 2 hard-boiled eggs, a leftover burger patty, leftover chicken thigh, something like that, if you need the snack. If you don't, it's best to skip it. And then in the evening, you want a protein-anchored dinner, 30 to 50 grams of protein. Even do that 40 to 60 again if you want. Keep it clean, though. Okay, same kind of thing. Keep it clean. And then you need a sleep plan. Okay, you need to have a screen curfew. When do I turn off the phone, turn off the TV, turn off the computer, turn off whatever? Get away from the screens. Okay, we all got to be adults here, myself included. I'm preaching to me as much as I am to you. Turn off the screens. Have a sleep plan. Turn off the screens. Cool, dark room. Magnesium at night. I take magnesium glycinate at night, every night before I go to bed, and it really does help me with sleep. So suggest some magnesium glycinate. Or have another salty packet. Your electrolytes are good for you. Okay? And I want you to say this to yourself when you lay down to sleep. Tonight's goal is not discipline, it's downtime. You have to switch that mindset. Tonight's goal is not discipline, it's downtime. You've got to let yourself rest and recover. Okay, so there's a couple of things you can do here. You can do a strict carnivore reset, which is meat, eggs, salt water, black coffee, and unsweet tea. If you're keto, do all those same things and a small side of the low-carb veggie if you truly enjoy it and it doesn't trigger any other cravings. Okay, but you've got to be self-aware and you have to be honest with yourself. Is that helping me or is that causing a problem? Because if we're trying to break the sugar loop, we can't play in like, well, a little of this, because that's what gets us into trouble in the first place. Okay, me included. I'm not judging. I'm telling you because I know, because it happens to me if I'm not careful. It's been a long time since I've done this, but it will happen to me if I go back to it. I'm a carb addict. I will go right back to it if I love myself. So here's what I want you guys to expect. From 0 to 4 hours roughly into this, your cravings are going to ebb after your first protein meal. Okay? That's normal. Hour 6 to 12, your energy should steady, and your thirst is probably going to go up. This is good. This is your body getting rid of the inflammation and the glucose that we're trying to dump. Keep your electrolytes up. Grab those salty packets, throw the salt in your water, however it is you get your electrolytes. Keep your electrolytes up. 6 hours to 12 hours in, your energy is going to start to steady out. And by the next morning, you should have noticeably fewer cravings as long as your sleep was good. If your sleep wasn't good, you got to keep fighting for that. And you got to keep going after this and keep chasing it. But if your sleep was good, you should start to experience a significant reduction in your cravings, because all of that stuff starts to settle out. All the glucose goes away. The hormones in the brain all come down. The protein and the fat chemically ensure this. This is why we're doing what we do. Now, if you're on glucose-lowering meds, you have kidney or heart issues, any of these different things, again, talk to your clinician before changing your electrolytes or fasting or doing any of these other things. I'm not a doctor, not giving you medical advice. I'm just giving you my opinion on this stuff. You got to go talk to a doctor, especially if you're dealing with that kind of stuff, before you go jumping into things. Now, we were talking about mindset shifts, right? This is where it all comes together. A slip of having carbs and sugar and Halloween candy and whatever, don't think of that as your identity. It's not failure, and failure is not an identity for you. It is data. It is teaching you something, so learn from it. Don't hold it as an identity, just take it on as data of what not to do and how to learn from what it does to you and how you have to get back out of it. Shifting that mindset is very powerful. This is how you take control of this. So, there's a few things here that I want you to kind of take on and think about maybe if this might work to implement this in your life. Number one is the power pause, okay? When the urge hits, pause for 60 seconds, drink salt water, or salt, eat it, and then drink water, or salty electrolytes, whatever. Get your electrolytes. And then decide what you want to do. Every time, when the urge hits you, pause for 60 seconds, then have salt and water or your salty electrolytes or whatever, then decide. I'm calling that the power pause. That power pause is such an important thing to do, because if you follow the whim of the emotion at the moment, it's easy to go off that track. But if you pause for 60 seconds, then have the salt and the water, and to then really think about it, a lot of times you'll go, I really don't think that's what no, I'm not going to do that. I can't tell you how many times this has happened to me. Still does. But I pause, I power pause, and have my salt water, make sure I've got my electrolytes, and it's funny, it goes away. It really, really will. And you have to train yourself to do this, so truly try to do that. The next thing, the 5-minute rule. Commit to 5 minutes of the next right behavior. Cook the burger patty, take the walk, set the alarm at bedtime, whatever. Okay, 5 minutes of doing the right thing. Just commit to 5 minutes of it. If you're 5 minutes in and you just can't do it, fine, quit. 5 minutes. Just do 5 minutes of it, because momentum is so much more powerful than motivation. You cannot motivate yourself into being better, but you can use momentum to gradually teach yourself to get better. It's massive. Okay? The next thing, you need to anchor your identity, not in failure, not in guilt, not in shame, not in carbohydrates, for Lord's sake. Identity needs to be anchored for you in something much more powerful and much better for you. Say it out loud. I'm the kind of person who eats protein first. Anchor yourself in that identity. Make that part of who you are. Make the good thing that you do, the good choice. Make that your identity. Don't focus on the shame and the guilt and the, oh my gosh, I'm in this carb, sugar mindset loop. Don't go down that rabbit hole. I have, and I can tell you there is no future in that. And I don't want that for you. I don't want it for me. I don't want anybody to deal with that. So give yourself an identity that is based on something good. Like, I eat protein first. I'll worry about the rest of it later. The next thing, environment is going to beat your willpower every time. Remove leftover candy, get the treats out of the house, put things out of your sight so you can't see it. Put your protein front and center. Your burger patties, your eggs, your chicken thighs, your steaks, whatever. Get the junk out of the environment, because if it's there and you're like, oh, I'm just going to willpower myself through and break this loop. No, you're not. I'm not. I don't have the ability to do that. There's no way. When the junk is in front of me, I want it. When it's not here, it's easy to make a good decision. That doesn't make you weak. That doesn't mean that there's something wrong with you. Environment beats willpower for everyone. All the time. Because we are human beings, and that is what happens. Also, the last thing for these sort of tools I'm giving you here is you need an if-then plan. Do you guys know what an if-then plan is? If such and such happens, then I do this. So if I mess up, then my next move is 40 to 60 grams of proteins and electrolytes and 20 to 40 grams of fat. It's just the protocol, right? It is just protocol. So have it ready to go. If I mess up, then my very next meal is this. Set that for yourself. Have your identity built on the idea of doing good things for yourself. Change your environment and have an if-then plan. So if you mess up, then you can go back in. Because if you don't plan for it when you're in a good headspace, you'll never do it when you're in a bad headspace. If-then plans. Have them ready to go. So what I want you to think about in this mindset shift here is how we can start to change our language, our vocabulary when it comes to this kind of stuff, okay? Replace I blew it, or I cheated, or I messed up with I paused, now I'm going to resume. That's completely different. And that's all in the mind, but it's really important. The next one, I have no control. Replace that with, I control the next 10 minutes. I have no control focuses on all of this stuff going forward for the rest of your life. It's way too much weight to carry. I certainly couldn't do it, and I don't think any of you would either. But if you stop saying that and you say, I control the next 10 minutes, you're focused on this little chunk, that's something we have the ability to fight for. And it changes your way of thinking about this. And this is a really big one. I'll restart Monday. No. I'll reset by dinner. Your very next meal, whatever that is, that's when you reset. Not the next day, certainly not 2 or 3 days later, because it's so easy for that slippery slope of excuses to happen. Ask me how I lost over 100 pounds, and then I gained about 60 to 70 of it back. That was my fault. Because I kept coming up with excuses. Well, I'll get started in a month. I'll get started in a week. I'll get started. There was always a future time. No, the very next meal, that is your reset. You deserve that. Reset by your very next meal. Change that perspective. You don't need a fresh start. You need a fast course correction. And that's what this live stream is, right? That is what we're here for. You don't need to start at the beginning. You just need to take wherever you are and quickly flip the switch with that meal. 40 to 60 grams of protein, 20 to 40 grams of fat, plenty of salt, absolutely no sweet tastes. I'm going to do this. You just need to course correct and just go. And don't waste time. All of the negotiating with yourself and thinking, oh, I'll get started here, or I'll do this, or I'll do it once the such and such in the pantry is gone. That's the stuff that's killing it. That's what gets me every time if I do that. That's why I don't do that anymore. Course correction right now. That's what's going to get you going, okay? That's what gets me going. I know it's going to help you too. That's what I want you guys to think about, because every one of you deserves that. Okay, I've got a couple of questions for you guys. I would really love to kind of get some answers on this before we kind of wrap things up. First of all, candy in the house, yes or no? Do you have candy in the house, yes or no? And should you have candy in the house, yes or no? I'm curious. Also, what is tonight's protein, tomorrow's protein, whatever? What protein are you going to be using? Is it going to be beef or eggs or chicken or salmon or I don't know, whatever? What is your protein? What is your go-to protein that you would want to use at your next meal so you can get that quick course correction? For me, the very next protein is going to be chicken. That's mine. I've got chicken breasts that I'm going to season up and I'm going to cook. Mine's going to be chicken. What is yours? Also, if you go to sleep before 10:30, if you're going to be in bed before 10:30 tonight, or if you're going to go to bed before 10:30 p.m. tomorrow night, put sleep in the comments. Let me know. And let's see what we got going on in the comments here. I'm asking you guys all these questions. Let's see. Let's see what we got going on. All right. Get back to where we were. Here we go. Ann Rutten is here. Started giving the trick-or-treaters a $1 coin years before starting keto. Hi from Nebraska. I love that. That's cool, Ann. And hello to you in Nebraska. Brian says my wife can catch the live at night, and she is most happy. Well, that's awesome. Terry says my face is looking slimmer. Well, thank you, Terry. Well, I'm losing weight. In case you guys didn't know, my shred protocol, I'm down about 33 pounds right now. In the last, it's been almost 4 weeks, I guess, on the shred protocol. Maybe a little over. So yeah, I'm down about 33 pounds. So thank you so much for pointing out the slimness. I have noticed here in my cheeks. I can see the pointiness in this part of my where my cheekbone is, and also like my arms. I was actually talking with my good friend Miss Emily Esau, who's in the band. This muscle movement right here, when I move my fingers, I can't even tell you how long it's been since I've seen that. So even at the lowest weight that I was when I was doing keto, carnivore, all this kind of stuff, which is, I'm not far from that. I'm close to it again. But even the lowest weight, I actually did not see that because I don't think I was getting the protein that I need. And so I think I was losing weight, but I think I was losing muscle as part of that. I'm not losing muscle this time. And I can feel it in my arms and see it and everything. It's fantastic. So Shred Protocol will be coming very soon for y'all. Sherry, y'all deal with the time change. However, we don't change time here in Arizona. For me, it's just figuring out when the lives are. Now, just an hour later than what was in my head before. Yeah, it's so weird. Time change is such a weird thing. I wish we just didn't have to do it. Dennis says, I highly recommend getting the cookbook when it comes out. So many tasty dishes. I literally licked my plate, my fingers, and my utensils. Dennis, you were so sweet. He did. We had a really good time. He loved the food. I was so glad. It's going to be a good one. Speaking of Emily, there she is. Hey, friends, 2 babies to bed and running late. Well, that's all right. Very, very glad that you are here. Let's see. Terry, Dennis is telling the truth. He literally licked the plate. Great recipes coming out, folks. Highly recommend. Terry, you're so sweet. We had such a good time with you guys. Dixon Willingham. I'm going through it now. It's so hard to stop. I get it, Dixie. That's why we got to have that protocol in place and hack the chemical process rather than trying to willpower, because it really is hard to try to force your way through willpower-wise until all that other stuff catches up. But if you know how to do it the right way, it makes it a lot easier. You can do this, and we're here to support you, Dixie. Brian, I had one Tootsie Pop that made me good and sick. Last one of those forever. No desire to eat sugar ever again. There you go, Brian. And you know what? Again, data. Not a failure. It's just data. And 3 weeks no Diet Coke. Been drinking it for 30 plus years. Good for you, and rock on. You get a light show for that one. That's fantastic. I know that can be so hard when you do it at first. Emily says, Brian, I did that with a cupcake early on. Sometimes we need that horrible kick in the pants to prove we're doing the right thing. Absolutely. And again, it's data, you know? Sometimes data is the difference. Let's see. Terry says, it definitely creates a loop. Eating fat can help me, and protein. Just wish I'd stopped going down the rabbit hole and not doing it anymore. It's tough. It is tough, I know. There's a bunch of people saying, Crash, you all have experienced it. Yep. Absolutely. Peggy says, I'm in it. I cannot believe it after almost 2 years of success on the PhD. Peggy, it can catch up with you so quickly. And that's the thing. That's why we need to understand what's going on in the brain so we can hack that backwards and just go, no, we're just going to chemically shut that down instead of trying to willpower through, because willpower is where it falls apart. But if you know scientifically what's going on in your brain and you know how to hack into it and do the right things for intentional reasons, it gets you over that finish line a lot faster to get back on track. And then you can do it a lot more successfully. Let's see. John says, eat sugar, spike blood sugar, insulin shot, blood sugar drop, hunger. Yes, absolutely. John probably gets this better than almost anybody. Jeff says, not for 14 months now, but of course, Crash. Yes. Yes, Jeff is a rock star, but he knows what I'm talking about. He's been there too. And John makes a good point. It doesn't even have to be sugar. Rice and pasta are even worse for me. Absolutely. My mom experiences that. She's diabetic, and it's a real thing. Terry says, hate to say it, I think it's my flavored electrolytes sometimes. I've been trying to figure out why it does sometimes, and other times it doesn't affect me. Yeah, Terry, it's, you got to experiment with that and find out. But maybe the flavors don't work for you. They do for some people, and they don't for others. And, I get it. Do It Wrong, Lewis Stone is here. What's up, brother Lewis? Howdy, y'all. I'm here now. You can start. Well, here we go. Let's get going. Mag says, I didn't know about the sodium factor. Makes sense. Yes, it's a big deal. deal when you're trying to get rid of all of those carbs. So I'll tell you guys, if I ever have carbs that are a little bit higher, and when I say carbs, I'm not talking like I'm going out and eating a cake. I'm talking like I had a salad, did like a keto day. I had a salad and I put like some tomatoes and onions and all of this kind of stuff and like dressing on it and all this kind of stuff that's like maybe there's a little bit of extra carb. I mean, like not a lot, but maybe instead of having like 0 to 5 grams of carbs, I'm having like 20 to 30 grams of carbs that day. If I do that and I push that a little too far, sometimes I'll start getting some muscle cramps come back that night. And I have to like triple up on my electrolytes to stop it, because you can tell my muscles are trying to get rid of that glucose. They're trying to flush things out. I pee constantly, like all of this. And it's rough. And it's the sodium and potassium and magnesium as well. But it's the electrolyte issue. That's a big deal. Big deal. Hey, there's Juju. What's up, Juju? How are you? She says, hello, friends. Says, just got home from the USO knitting club. Hub's car is broken, sigh. Thankful he can borrow the bestie's car while she is out of town. I'm sorry, Juju, but I hope everything works out for you guys on that. But I'm really glad you're here. Holly says, this makes so much sense. I cook a bunch of hamburger patties and eat one with bacon grease when I crave carbs. Now I know why it helps. There you go. That was me, beef patties and eggs when I would get cravings. That's what I would always go to. I don't get cravings that often anymore, and now I've kind of learned to, use that 5-minute thing or use my power pause or any of that kind of stuff, and I just kind of get through those cravings. But if I'm struggling, that's how I do it. Dennis says, bread is one of my weaknesses. Chris has some good bread recipes that help me with that. Yeah, and that's the thing. That's why my recipes are there. If you just feel like you're going to go off the rails, use one of my recipes instead of the standard American diet junk. Mags, do the chicken thighs in bacon grease. That's a great idea. Absolutely. Nike2422 is here, says, potatoes are my weakness. Carnivore mashed potatoes saved my life. I'm so glad you like that recipe. I really enjoy that one too. You're not the first person who told me that. Potatoes are a weakness for a lot of people, and I'm glad that those help people. It's why stuff like that is nice, Terry says, ribeye and pork belly are my reset. Thawing 2 pork bellies now. I love that. That's awesome. John says, pizza and pasta. Glad there are many low-carb subs. Absolutely. Nike uses lots of fresh lemon and lime in the cooking. See, and that probably really helps with the appetite suppressant, and it tastes really good. And if you're not trying to be like strict carnivore for metabolic health, like, issues, or if you're not trying to like heal, you're not doing an elimination diet, or you don't have necessarily like like Michaela Peterson has a really good story where she has like all of these sensitivities and all of these. I'm drawing a blank on what I'm trying to say right now. It's just time change messing with me. But she has these various things that it's like, she has to be really careful of. So if you're not doing carnivore or something for that reason, use some lemon and lime. If you like the flavor, it's nice and it helps blunt the appetite for you. Like, shoot, go for it. Cheeseburgers is what I served to my daughter the day after Halloween. There you go. See, that's great. And Peggy is doing eggs and hamburger patties tomorrow. I love it. Ann says, one reset meal, Eggerito. I love that. That's fantastic. John says, one meal reset is steak cut into chunks, dipped into garlic butter. Keeps me full for many hours. Sounds like it tastes amazing, too. I love that. Brian is ribeye and 4 fried eggs. Dennis says, I still sometimes struggle with adding salt, as I didn't use the evil salt for many years, gradually getting adjusted to adding it. That's great, Dennis. Good for you, my friend. Emily, my reset meal is 4 air-fried frozen burger patties with a little melted butter and a bit of blue cheese crumbles. Hell, that's like my favorite meal now. I use that for everything. I'm right there with you, Emily. That sounds fantastic. I love just simple fried, like air-fried frozen burger patties like that with some good seasoning or some blue cheese. It'd be great. I love that. That's fantastic. Terry says chuck eye steak tomorrow. I love it. And let's see. Dennis says a good reset meal is frying thick cut bacon, scrambling eggs in the bacon grease, and add butter, salt, and pepper afterwards. I love that. That's fantastic. Yeah, bacon, grease, eggs like that. So, so good. John says I always had salty food, but never added salt until I started keto. My taste changed. I needed salt. Then I added salty, and now I don't need much anymore. Yeah, it's just your body telling you need those electrolytes. It's pretty cool how that works. Nike2422 doing grilling tuna steaks tomorrow. I like that. And David and Dawn just did an awesome stew. Grass-fed rump roast, breaded, quote-unquote, with egg yolk and powdered goat milk, braised in beef tallow, then dropped in beef bone broth with a bit of garlic for flavor, salt, of course, and served with sour cream and raw cheese. That sounds fantastic. Man, I hope y'all saved some. I'm coming over for dinner. D, hearing how bitter coffee can be helpful makes me look forward to drinking black coffee again. I think it's cool, yeah. If it doesn't bother you, some people say they feel better without it. I don't. I feel better with it. So, if it works for you, that's great. And I wonder if the signal to snack is also a possible signal you haven't eaten enough. Yeah, that's kind of the thing I was talking about. 30 minutes after, if you're wanting to snack, you didn't have enough protein, most likely. John says keto treats are bad and expensive. I snack on meat and cheese. I agree. Even if they're not bad for you, a lot of them just don't taste very good, in my opinion. Share a cool dark room and cuddled up to a puppy or two. That's how you do it right there. That's about what I'm about to go do here shortly. Let's see. I want to try to get to if there's questions or really important comments here before I let you guys go. Terry makes a good point. True on the movement. The more I move, the less I snack. I like that. Yeah, so John makes a good point. I had the gastric sleeve. I have to eat 4 times a day. And if you have the gastric sleeve, you have to modify and you have to kind of work on this stuff. And, that protocol doesn't work exactly the same, but hit those goals if you can. Just spread out further as best you can, and I bet it'll help a lot. So John knows what he's doing. John has done this for a long time. He's a dude. John's got it going on. Love John. Dennis says one thing that helps me is to revisit my whys. Yes, absolutely. Like this, Brian says the last 2 kids got the hookup the other night. There you go. Sometimes it pays to be late. Sherry says Chris has a boo-boo on his finger. I'm guessing it could have been caused by all the cooking he's been doing for the cookbook. Yes, I have a burn on my ring finger. I've been wearing one of those little rubber finger covers over it while I'm cooking. I have a burn from cooking a burger patty and being splashed with boiling hot oil. So it's dangerous in the kitchen sometimes, guys. Also, do as I say and not as I do, and lay things away from you in the pan, not towards you. That's the ring finger, not the middle one. Okay. Mag says, this is so helpful, Chris. Thanks. I got to go, but lots of love to all. Well, thank you so much for being here. Hopefully you'll come back and see the end of this. And I'm really glad it's helpful. I'm just trying to help you guys as best I can and just use my own experience to maybe inspire someone else. Peggy says, I use salty. I think she means LMNT. Redmond's Relight. Have a little unflavored left and need to make my own also. I like that. John, no starting over next week or even tomorrow. No cheat meals or cheat days. When cheat items show up, get back on the program with the next item you eat. Man, could not have said it better myself. I love it. And it looks like we got a bunch of no's on the candy, which is good. Anne's going to be eating beef for her next meal. Emily says, I have 4 kids. There's definitely candy right now. Yeah, when you have kids, it's a lot harder. So, Crow's go-to is ground beef. Hamburger for Dennis. Eggs and beef. Maybe some bacon for Anne. Sherry says, I have 6 pieces of candy left from Halloween. I'm not tempted. I think I'm going to give them to my neighbor across the street. That's great, Sherry. It's wonderful. No candy. Anne says sleep. So does Emily. Brian says no on the candy. Anne says sleep about 9-ish. I love that. Terry is beef. Sean says, going to bed in 10 minutes. 4:30 comes awfully quick. Yes, Sean, it certainly does, and you're probably already gone, but you have a good rest, and we'll catch up with you soon, my friend. Brian is beef and eggs. And John says, we have some sugar-free candy. I try to stay away from it. Next protein will be a big sous vide bottom round roast seared in butter. Man, that sounds good. Coming over to your house for dinner, John. Lisa, my go-to is eggs. I had 3 eggs sauteed in a tablespoon of butter and 2 tablespoons of heavy whipping cream. Love it. Terry's been going to bed earlier. Peggy, next protein will be leftover ribeye and eggs. I love it. And thank you very much, Anne. A very nice job, Chris. Yes, the weight loss has been helpful. It's honestly, it's way more than just the weight loss that I am so glad that I'm able to do this. And, the shred protocol works really well, and having my brain regulated lately has made a big difference. So, but yeah, we're doing it. We're doing the thing, guys. Let's see. Emily, I'm usually in bed by 9:15. Wake up around 5 to get alone time. Yeah, I can understand that. And Chris, where did you get your shred protocol from? Did you just do your own thing? That's a great question. So this is my own design. This is based on research, looking at how bodybuilders shred for a competition, but then thinking about that from a more lifestyle way, not like hey, I'm going to do this thing to get like super shredded down for a bodybuilding competition, because that's not necessarily the healthiest thing. Those guys don't always have the best metabolic health. But I was thinking, like, how do you take what they're doing, but do it in a way that's actually healthy for you and is sustainable as a lifestyle, not something you're just doing to get ready for competition? How do you take the concepts that they're using, but put it into a format where it's a sustainable lifestyle, where you feel satisfied, happy, you're enjoying your food, you can not be crazy strict all the time, but like flex, back and forth and all this kind of stuff. So that's where it all came from. And I did research and just kind of worked on putting this all together. And, it's like if bodybuilders, instead of trying to shred as fast as they can for competition and then pump their muscles back up and then shred the fat back down and then pump the muscles back up and then shred the fat back down, if they were just trying to live a healthy lifestyle, using the concepts that allow them to do that, but using them in the right way, in a healthy way, to lose excess fat relatively quickly, but in a sustainable way, and then you just maintain and live the rest of your life at a healthy weight because you're just minding those various concepts and protocols. What would that look like if you weren't trying to be impressive and have jacked muscles, but you're just trying to live at a healthy weight and you want to enjoy food, you want to enjoy your life, you want all of this stuff. And if you have a neurodivergent brain, have enough of the animal fats and the things that make that all good and all of this. How do you make all of it work together? And so I did the research and just kind of worked on it and experimented, and here we are. And that's what I'm going to be sharing with you guys, is what I do, how I do it, why I do that, and how you kind of apply it to your body and what your goals are. And some days I'm like super, super hardcore shreddy and I'm trying to like burn body fat. And then other days I'm like, it's a maintenance day. I want my brain to feel good. And I lean the other direction. But I can flex however I feel on a daily basis so that my body stays healthy and my brain feels good. And I'm never starving. I'm never going into starvation mode. It's not like protein sparing modified fasting where honestly you kind of starve your body and do a lot of weird stuff. It's not that kind of thing. It is very stable, gentle, but very effective, all based scientifically on things. So it's a great question, and I'm really excited to share with you guys when I get the chance to sit down and put that all together. Holly says there's leftover Halloween candy in my house. I'm not tempted now, but at one time it would have called my name till gone. Absolutely. It's great that you've developed that ability to just stay away from it, Holly. That's awesome. And does anyone work out by chance? I have a gym that is looking to be done by December nearby, and I'm going, so I was just curious to see if/what is working for y'all. Ash and I are actually going to be joining a gym once I get done writing the cookbook. So stay tuned. Let's see. Peggy says, I feel that salt need once in a while. I'll sprinkle a bit of Redmond salt in my hand and pop it in my mouth. Certainly does help. I've done that too, yeah. That helps a lot in the moment. And potatoes, I do love them. I also tolerate them well, which is why I really don't eat them. Yeah, I get it. And so acid, fat, salt, adding those into my diet to a higher degree ought to help my sudden cravings and desires. What was it about the 90-second rule, or was that 60 seconds? Yeah, and so adding those in, I think, should help, or at least try. It's worth a shot, probably. And then it was the 60-second pause. It's the power pause. You can go up to 90 seconds if you want, but it's when you have a craving, you pause for 60 seconds. Don't do anything for 60 seconds. Then have salt and water. Then wait. And then decide if you really need that thing or if maybe you just needed some salt and some water. Works really well for me. Let's see. Yeah, that's I answered that. Sherry says, at least it was that finger, not the other one. You got that right. Lewis Stone says, when I have a craving, I get up and walk around. If it doesn't go away with that, I'll drink some salty. For me, most of the time, I'm not really hungry, just thirsty. Same, Lewis. I love that, especially the getting up and walking around thing. I did a thing for a while before the shred protocol. I was struggling with my brain, and I still didn't know what was going on, but I did a thing for a while where before I ate anything, I had to do 10 squats. Because it's like, do I really want this bad enough to be willing to do 10 squats? If so, okay, then I'm probably legitimately hungry. But I had other stuff going on with my brain. I don't have to do that anymore, but there was a time I did that. But I think that's great you do that, Lewis. It's awesome. Juju, I'm getting ready to make tomato, basil salt, jalapeno salt, and maybe some coffee salt after listening tonight. My bestie just brought me coffee from Colombia. That's awesome, Juju. And those salts sound really good. I've got basil salt in the refrigerator right now, actually, that I made for a recipe for the cookbook, and I just had a whole bunch of extras, so I just threw it in the fridge so I can use it for something else. Cool. Well, guys, I think we're all caught up on stuff. Thank you so much for hanging out. Don't forget that the band link is in the description box down below. Of course, all of my recipe cards are on my website. I had a really cool video come out on Saturday about the true cost of carnivore foods versus standard American diet foods. It's a really interesting video, and there's a lot of calculations and math and everything that make it pretty shocking when you really run the numbers. So if you haven't seen it, go check that out. In the meantime, prepare for Monday motivations in the evenings going forward for now. And we got a bunch of more stuff coming. I'm going to be sharing some stuff in the band once I get caught up on the rest of the cookbook photos here, which we're getting close on. We'll be doing a bunch more. So I appreciate you guys hanging out with me. Make sure to hit the thumbs up and subscribe while you are here. If you have not done that yet, would really appreciate you doing that. Let everybody know, including YouTube, that this is a cool thing and that you like being here. And let's just have some fun and support each other. Appreciate you guys. Get some rest. Go get good sleep. And if you're on that sugar train, follow that protocol. Go back and watch the replay of this if you need reminders on how to do that. 40 to 60 grams of protein, 20 to 40 grams of fat, and stay away from those sweet tastes and stay as close to 0 carbs as you can. And make it the first meal of breaking that cycle. Thank you guys so much for hanging out. I love all of you guys. We appreciate all of you guys. This is Chris Cook in Nashville. You guys eat your meat, love your life, and remember, you can break that horrible sugar cycle if you just know what's going on in your brain and how to do it. I'll see you guys here in the studio for probably some more crazy live streams, and right now, at least for the foreseeable future, 7:30 p.m. Central Time, right here. Bye, guys. Have a great Monday night.